Mercer Mayer is a well-known children's book author and illustrator. His most well-known claim to fame is writing and illustrating the Little Critters series of books, starting with the book Just for You, published in the year 1976. The series follows an anthropomorphic, well, honestly, I don't know what species, character and his friends and family, and going on various adventures within their town. Mercer Mayer has also contributed to the creations of other series of books, including Critters of the Night and Elsie and the Critter Kids. What you may not know is that Mercer Mayer has written and illustrated books outside of the various series he's created and contributed to. One of these books is one that I'm going to be reviewing today. The book is called A Monster Followed Me to School, written and illustrated by Mercer Mayer. The story begins with a nameless boy character who serves as our narrator throughout the story. One day he was taking a walk around his neighborhood until he spots a strange-looking monster standing there in the middle of the sidewalk. We're not really told how he got there, where he came from, and why he's there. My guess as to why this is not explained is the author wanted to leave these details to the imagination of the reader. Naturally, the boy gets scared of the monster upon seeing him and runs off to his house. Later on, the boy tells his parents all about the monster he saw in his neighborhood. As one would expect in these types of stories, the boy's parents don't believe him. His father just smiles and pats him on the head, and later on tells the boy that he has better things to focus on, like his schoolwork, whereas his mom tells him that it's likely the same monster that used to live under his bed. The boy disagrees and tells her that this monster is different. She asks the boy to explain, but knowing that explaining will get him nowhere, he just leaves to go to bed. Reading this part of the book, I can tell the boy's parents, while not believing him about the monster he's seen, have a nice contrast in their attitudes. The boy's father is indifferent and only wants to focus on more important matters, while his mother shows some interest in this occurrence, even though it's pretty clear to me that the mother is just humoring the boy. A small detail in terms of personalities that I think are worth mentioning. The next day, the boy walks through his neighborhood on his way to school. He gets a sensing feeling that someone is stalking him. Sure enough, it was the monster that he had seen earlier in the book. Thinking that the monster looked hungry, that the monster may do something strange as a result, the boy gives the monster his bagged lunch. Although judging the illustrations on these pages, I would say that the monster looked like he's more relaxed and curious than hungry. The boy watches the monster eat his lunch, including the bag itself, and I have to say, as a kid, this illustration of the monster eating the entire bagged lunch used to scare me as a kid. I have no idea why. Needless to say, the monster is very pleased, and the boy decides that the monster likes him, and they stick together as the boy continues his walk to school. The closer he gets to school, the boy takes note that nobody seems to notice the monster walking behind him, not even the mailman. Once the boy and the monster arrive at school, a school bully named Biff, who serves as the antagonist in this story, and not to be confused with Biff Tannen, the antagonist from the Back to the Future movies, is waiting for the boy. Biff walks up to the boy, assumingly ready to bully him in one form or another, until suddenly the monster swings his tail and knocks Biff down on the ground. Everyone laughs at this occurrence, and Biff gets angry. Biff assumes that the boy has done this and tells him that he's going to get it after school. The boy and the monster enter the school building, and the boy takes out a book that he borrowed from his friend, a girl named Amy Frobisher, to return to her. However, the monster thinks that this book is food and tries to eat it. Looking at the illustration in this moment, I wondered how this book might have tasted to the monster, especially when it looked like it has Egyptian hieroglyphics written on the cover. Needless to say, Amy Frobisher was horrified to see that her book had teeth marks on it and vows to tell the teacher about it. In the classroom, the monster climbs on the teacher's desk and begins making faces and sticking out his tongue at the class. This makes the boy laugh, while no one else in this class seems to notice. He gets in trouble and is forced to write a sentence stating that he will be quiet in class 25 times on the blackboard. This moment, I believe, really shows how dated this book is to me. When I was in school, no teacher has ever made anyone write a sentence on the chalkboard a certain number of times, except for maybe in school, way before I was born. Looking at it, I don't see much of a point in that as a punishment. The only punishment I can see from it is the major hand cramps from writing so much at one time. The monster gets bored waiting for the boy to finish writing on the chalkboard and blows all the papers off the teacher's desk. Thinking that a gust of wind has done this, the teacher rushes to close the window, only it wasn't open. The moments that occurred up to this point in the story really present some good food for thought for the reader, I believe. The food is, does this monster really exist, or is he just a figment of our narrator's imagination? There's an answer to all of this, and it will reveal itself later in this review, so stay tuned. The boy and the monster have a great time playing at recess, including sliding on the slide and playing kickball with the other kids. The monster knocks Biff down during this game, and like before, Biff assumes that the boy has done this and yells at him once again that he's going to get it. There are various scenes that happen in a classroom afterwards. The monster eats the video of Brazilian birds that the class was intending to watch, so they drew pictures instead. Afterwards, the class practices a song that their teacher wrote for them to perform at a parents' night event, where the monster's attempts at singing results in a mess of a rehearsal. The illustration of this moment in the story is actually one of my favorites. I love the chaos that goes on throughout, as well as the wide variety of expressions on the kids' faces, including the teachers. The story jumps ahead to lunchtime within the school where the boy sees the monster in the cafeteria, eating from a big pot of the entree of the day, chicken a la king, which sounds like a fancy lunch for a simple school cafeteria like this one. An interesting moment occurs after lunch where the boy and the monster are walking down the hallway in the school and see the school principal in the hallway. The principal takes one look at them and runs down the hallway, moaning and looking scared out of his wits. We are told that the principal went home after this happened. The look on the principal's face in this scene is very priceless, I would say. What makes this moment interesting is that it gives us an idea that there are people in the world in this story that actually see the monster, and he's not a figment of the narrator's imagination. Other moments will happen, and the remainder of this story will further prove this fact to us. Amy Frobisher shows the damaged book to the teacher, and once again the boy is punished by writing a sentence stating that he will take good care of the things he borrows 25 times on the blackboard. After this, the boy and the monster are outside the school doors and find that Biff, along with Amy Frobisher and a bunch of other kids, gathered there to watch Biff beat up the boy. The boy is unsure what to do at this point until he decides that the best thing to do is just let himself get beat up. However, judging from the look on the monster's face in this scene, he seems aware of what's going on and has a better idea up his sleeve to help the boy out of this mess. Just when Biff was about to beat up the boy, Biff sees the monster behind him, making himself look very scary for Biff. As a result, Biff gets scared and runs off down the street. The monster is a true hero to the boy, and it further proves the point that I made earlier of the existence of this monster. The boy and the monster walk home together. At a street corner, the boy crosses the street and finds the monster did not follow him. The monster turns around and walks back to the school. The boy figured that the monster liked the school so much that he decided he wanted to stay at the school. The boy goes home alone. He tells his parents about his day in school and tells his mother all about the monster at school. She thought the school was a good place for the monster to live, and even liked the part where the principal ran down the hall. Later on, the boy takes a ride on his bike and finds that the monster is no longer in his neighborhood. Over time, he figures that the monster lives at his school, specifically in the basement, because the boiler has broken down multiple times that winter, and I love the angry expression of the boiler in this illustration. that boiler certainly is not happy. We're told that the principal of the boys' school has quit his job, with the reason that he has a medical condition. The boy doesn't believe this, and I have to agree with him as well. I'm thinking the more likely reason is that after the principal's encounter with the monster, he decided to seek long-term therapy or even check himself into a mental institution to recover from it. We're told that Biff doesn't bully the boy anymore and even crosses the street when he sees the boy coming. I'm willing to bet that his experience seeing the monster has changed his bullying ways for good. The boy is glad that the monster followed him to school and is happy with how much it has changed his life at school. He sometimes misses the monster, though. The boy considers taking the time to seek out the monster one day and knows where to look. In the school basement behind the boiler, where we see in this illustration, the monster is sleeping peacefully. The end. My final thoughts on this book. This book holds a lot of nostalgia value for me, as it is one of the many books I've read multiple times as a kid and enjoyed. Looking back on this book now as an adult, I have to honestly say that it's not one of Mercer Mayer's best works. What I mean by that is that throughout the book, I couldn't help but to notice that many elements of the story are bland, and nothing really stands out to me much in any way. Most notably, the lack of dialogue throughout, with mostly narration telling the story, a generic storyline, and bland characters with lack of personalities, especially in our narrator. It seems like the boy only exists to narrate what goes on and not much else. However, the character who seems to have the most personality is the monster himself. Without any dialogue, I can still see how expressive he is by his expressions and body language in the illustrations. The design of the monster is very unique and well done. Mercer Mayer knew how to create the design of the monster that is comical as to not scare the target audience, but at the same time is aware that he's a monster after all. The illustrations are the best part of this book, I would say. They are full of well-thought-out detail, establishes each environment well, and gives the characters in each scene a wide variety of expressions that fit each situation. In the end, would I recommend The Monster Followed Me to School to others? Well, yes and no. I would recommend it to anyone who's looking for a simple, easy-to-follow book about a monster to read to kids. If anyone's looking for the best that Mercer Mayer has to offer in terms of his literature, I wouldn't recommend this one and advise them to seek elsewhere. I hope you enjoyed my review of this book, and if you have any suggestions for future review videos, please feel free to leave them in the comments section for me. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Have a nice day, everyone, and thank you very much for watching.